What's going on, guys? Today I want to do something a little bit different. I want to show off and I want to kind of give a spotlight to a guide that was created by one of the stronger players in the SEO region, Team Dawnbreaker Zhiff. During the middle of last month and also at the beginning of this month, he created and then subsequently updated a guide on Paradigm Shift Portalcraft, which I think is one of the more difficult classes to play in the meta right now. But the guide has so much good information that's been painstakingly culled from lots of different places and put it into a single document that I think is too good to pass up. So let's take a look at the guide that Zhiff has created. I'm going to give you guys the quick and dirty version of it. However, if you want to read this in long form, let me just hop into it right here. You can read this. I'll put the link to the document in the description below. But you can read it in its entirety. It's a great read whether you're playing as the class or against the class. Lots of good information here, and really a lot of good collated information about how to make decisions, which I think is the hardest part about this deck. So let's take a look at a bit more information about the deck. I'm going to move this over here, and so this is the deck here that Zhiff has created. The earlier version of this deck, and you can see this in the guide, was a bit more control / mid-range focus, but this one has quite an aggressive / mid-range build or skew. So it really allows you to be aggressive with things like, wide boards, things like Magic Gunsmith, generating followers, as well as Ironsting Alchemist, as well as Synchronization, pulling by Furicating Artifact or Analyzing Artifact, and then, using Augmentations Bestowed to cheap play points, and then maybe try to buff the board with Xion. So it also has the option of going control, though, so you can get off like Absolute Modesty to get continual damage every single turn to either A, clear followers, or do damage to face, depending on what's left on your opponent's board. And then you can use things like Vertex Colony in the late game to clean up, wipe your opponent's board, do damage face, and then at the end of the turn, Absolute Modesty will trigger again, basically doing double the damage to the opponent's face, and ultimately winning you the game. So the reason this deck is so flexible is because of two key cards. The first one here is going to be Synchronization, which is probably one of the most, I don't know how else to say this, but maybe one of the most flexible cards that have been ever printed in Shadowverse history. Depending on the game plan that you want to run or how you have positioned yourself on board or the resources you have in hand, you can choose one of any 4 artifacts. So again, I think the make or break for this deck is A, the Synchronization card, and B, Paradigm Shift, a card that allows you to put one of 3 different followers with a myriad of different effects onto the board. And depending on, your current board position, the game plan you're running, what your opponent has up, you can choose what's best for you to help you push yourself to that W at the end of the game. And I'll give you guys the chance to read the guide in its entirety. However, if you're going to be going for an aggro game plan, you're probably going to be wanting to prioritize Analyzing Artifact or Bifurcating Artifact in the early turns. And if you're trying to go for a mid-range / control game, where it's going to be going, turn 9, turn 10, turn 11, then you really have the option of going either Analyzing, Bifurcating, or Paradigm Shift. Now, again, there's a really handy guide within, or a really handy table within this guide that tells you or shows you what are probably the best choices for Synchronization based on the turn that you're currently on, as well as the resources that you have in hand. So again, please take a look at that in more detail in the guide. So next, I want to talk about some of the combos in the deck. The deck does have a lot of combos that kind of stack well together and allow you to either A, build big boards, or B, buff the followers on board, or do both, which is great. So just a couple of combos here. Most of these are going to be for turn 6 or turn 8. But on turn 6, you can do things like double Augmentations Bestowal, so play 2 of these. And then basically cheat the cost of Rebel Against Fate, which summons 2 artifacts. You'll get 2 play points back for every artifact that you summon, and then you can basically get this card's effect for free. So you'll play this on 6, 2 of these on 6, play Rebel Against Fate, and then you still have 4 play points to work with, as well as a bunch of card draw, lots of resources in hand, so you might potentially be able to do something like Xion to buff the 2 followers that you've put up on the board, or if you have remaining followers from previous turns, you can buff those as well. And the last combo, probably my favorite one, is using, on turn 8, using a single Augmentations Bestowal, playing Artifact Duplicator, pulling all of your artifacts putting all your artifacts back on board, and then playing Xion because you've recovered so many play points, and then buffing that entire board. Really, really great late game to just clear followers, or just put up really big wards in the way that your opponent has to overcome before they can go face. So again, there's a lot of different combos that the deck has. Those are just a couple that I've picked out here. There's more information about those as well in the guide, so please take a look there. But again, try the deck out yourself, see what you can find. There's a lot of potential here that I think is still untapped. And finally is the matchups. So the deck has some pretty great matchups, I think. Let me just pull this up here. So what's really good about this is Zhiff has also compiled and put together a list of his feelings on the different matchups. And you can see here that the ones in green are beneficial or in an advantage for this deck. The ones in yellow are basically even matchups, 5-5s, 50-50s, whatever you want to call it. And the ones in red are going to be your disadvantage matchups. Again, you can take a look at this in all of its entirety. He's also got notes at the bottom for things like the mirror match, how to play against each kind of deck that's really popular in the meta right now. Just in general, though, just the quick and dirty, your advantage matchups are typically going to be things like Natura Rune, Sword, basically any Swordcraft deck, being able to just put up a bunch of wards and stop the opponent from hitting face. If you can do that well, you'll be able to win those games. It goes even with a lot of things in the meta, and so what really comes down to winning is, your decision making and being able to read the board correctly, plan out future turns, and make sure that your game plan is rock solid. So it basically goes even with Machina Blood, Spell Boost Rune, Control Forest, Machina Haven Alana, Machina Alana Haven, as well as Valdane Dragon. Although I say that the one disadvantage this deck has, according to Zhiff, is going to be against Turbo Zeus or Discard Dragon / Evolve Dragon. Really difficult just because it's so hard to stop them once they get started. And so there you have it. I mean, there's far more information in this than I could tell you in any small video. So please, guys, take a look at the description below. Take a look at the guide itself. And give a big thank you and a big shout out to at Zhiff. Zhiff, I'm going to put your Twitter profile in the description below as well, so people can either A, follow you, B, give thanks, or C, even ask questions. Again, I ran a stream with this deck using the guide. I had the guide up on the side as well as my chat helping me out with Zhiff alongside them in there as well. Just giving me ideas on, this is a potential misplay. These are some things you want to keep in mind. These are the kinds of game plans you want to have against X, Y, or Z deck list. And it was really great. It was one of those, how can I best describe this? Playing the deck and winning with the deck makes you feel great because it gives you that good feedback, that knowing that your decisions are what helped you win the game. So I don't know about you guys, but as a person who plays and likes card games or games of strategy, knowing that my decisions are what led me to victory is super motivating for me to continue playing and getting better at that game. But yeah, take a look at the guide, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll be down there as well. Again, give a big shout out and a lot of love to Zhiff. He really took a lot of time to put this together, and it really does show. Let's see what else. Again, if you like the video, don't forget to hit the like. Please feel free to subscribe if you like watching streams. I've got a stream that I do. I'll probably be taking some of the games from my stream where I use this deck, and I will put them up as subsequent videos so you guys can kind of see how the deck was run. Maybe I'll put up a couple of my bloopers as well, because man, there were some bloopers. Let's see. Turn 4 is probably Rebel.
I must have faith.
If I drew an augmentation next turn, that would be tight. If I drew another augmentation, that would be super cool. Really, that's it. I'm so happy right now. Okay, do this.
You cannot escape from me.
Do this.
You cannot escape from me.
Thanks for watching, guys. That's my TED Talk, and I'll see you next time.